Thank you, Evil Eye, for sitting down with us and teaching us how to play Bomb King like a pro. Certainly a great thing to look into. We are on to our fourth set of the day. I'm still Dulcet on the desk and rounding out, hanging out with everyone here today.
Yeah.
I have Rain Day with me here for our fourth and final set. I get to chill with everyone today.
What a good hang out.
What a good day to be on the. I know. Kick the feet up between games, take a nap. I mean, that's what this day is all about.
That's you know, when you have socks as nice as yours,
that's
you
true.
know, kicking your feet up is something that comes with the territory.
Right.
You almost have to
have a
do
sock
it.
Cam.
Yeah.
Sock cam throughout the game.
Dave sock cam, yeah.
It's a good investment, I think.
Check that out for your Twitch streams or your Mixer streams.
Or Mixer streams.
Or
right.
your YouTube, wherever you stream.
Whatever it is. Let's look into our fourth matchup, though. I've drawn a lot of parallels through a lot of these teams, matchups, throughout the day. Zenith, Nation of Power, though, would you expect that to be sort of a similar matchup to what we just saw?
Yeah, I think today, you know, Nick called it sweeps week. I wouldn't expect anything different as far as the results, but I would expect that there are some contested matchups, and that's the best we can hope for. I mean, getting into this set, we're going to see, like, who would have expected Borg to kind of treat that one so contested against a team that, you know, has the power of Edgems and Nijus. And also, when we saw earlier with Sour Team kind of going against Blazing Asars, and then we saw All Business doing well, winning the first set against Penta. I mean, the first game, it was very impressive stuff.
Very impressive stuff. Well, we're going to jump into talking about Zenith a little bit. Where have they been sort of in your eyes as a team? I mean, obviously in sort of that third, fourth spot is where they've bounced around. Are there any guys on that lineup that you kind of look at? I know Toa, in this case, highlight-wise, is one of the guys to keep your eye out for.
Yeah, I think Toa is important. I mean, he's an old-school Paladins player that has definitely brought a lot of experience and flexibility, albeit I really consider him more of like a jack-of-all-trades type of flexibility, not this like, you know, really where even Alex has put himself on to where he's the almost creme de la creme, right?
Sure.
Where he's not only able to be flexible, he's able to bring a all-star performance on anything and go 23 and 8. Toa still has some work to do in that regard, but he's a great motivator for this team. He brings veteranship and stability, and I think him paired with Ozone and being able to have growth within this league is what they're looking for.
And I think it's good to draw. If we're drawing parallels today, one of the guys or sort of the team member style that I kind of draw parallel to is like he won't ever be the reason you lose games, but he'll always be there kind of as a pillar, just sort of a solid base point of flexibility and damage that can help you win games in a lot of situations. So not making things worse ever and sort of helping his team be where they're at. We're going to look over at the opposite side there, Nation of Power as well. They got Tay, they got Jay, they got all kind of A's on their side.
They do.
But they've been playing really good Paladins recently.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you look at the addition of Poison and Stigma to this roster, which really tried to elevate it for the LAN, that's where you start to worry about, can the set kind of run away from Zenith and the ability to really contest a Nation of Power at this point. It's not something that comes easily. Two players of this caliber sticking together, kind of committing to a team. But now that they have, and now they've got strong frontline presence in Tay and Jay, it's looking like this could be over quickly. But like today, I expect strong resistance from everybody.
I mean, the question of the hour is, and you may have sort of answered that in a shorter way, is we've had 3-0, 3-0, 3-1. Do you think Zenith are a team that can take a map, take two maps, even potentially take the whole set here?
I think we could see...
I mean, it's hard to predict, but...
I'm going to say no, I don't think they're going to get a map. But I think it'll be contested. I think games will last, hopefully.
Right.
Game one might not, because, you know, sometimes that first map pick or that second map pick, depending on whose pick it is, ends up being really in favor of the team that's expected to win already. And Stone Keep has some back and forth potential. So, you know, you have to keep your eye out that this is a team that should be beating you. But as long as you're on the ready, sometimes that means you won't be taking any of those crazy punches, and you'll stay in the fight. You know, maybe one big play turns things around.
I think a good sort of equal to that is what we just saw with Bork and Sanguine, where it was a 3-0.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a close 3-0. Like, it felt more like a 3-1, like pushing the line to maybe a 3-2. Bork looked good despite losing all three maps. They didn't look like they just got absolutely rolled over. So maybe more of the same here. In the last set, there were a lot of Bomb King priority in the Bork bands here. Cassie coming out as an early priority for Nation of Power. Amani as well. So that leaves the Atlas, that leaves the Con open. Atlas is going to get swept away here by Zenith. maybe an early Atlas pick as well over on the other side for Nation of Power.
Well, yeah, now that the Amani and the Cass here banned out, I mean, you have really a Khan most likely coming through, and
Khan, right.
That's what Nation of Power will grab. And I think at this point, Genos is a great pickup for them. And so Zenith now is going to respond. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't go for a Barrack and something, like Leon here.
If this is Barrack Leon, I'm just going to let you.
Thanks.
It
It is a pip, so I mean, I guess there's a lot of strength to that. But it is the Barrack. So they, instead of really, I mean, the pip is really actually unusual. That's not what we would expect them to grab, but that's something Toa can play.
And I've sort of been the proponent of Pip. I love seeing Pip get play. I love the way that he can change games around, and it's sort of been the question of how many players are truly comfortable on Pip. It's not even so much, well, he's a good or bad champion. It's just he's a tough champion to play the proper way to give your team a really good impact.
Right.
So Zenith are going to flex those muscles a little bit here. I'm excited to see how Pip works into their lineup. Maeve Leon, though, on the Nation of Power side, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I think this is going to be poison on the Maeve because Stigma most likely will take the hit scan of the Leon. So it's something I don't know how to feel yet. Maeve has kind of had a resurgence here lately, and Cat Burglar and Street Justice. Atlas, like I said and mentioned before, it can basically rewind before you can get your Street Justice off, and kind of force you to commit and then juke you out. So I think Cat Burglar is a stronger overall choice. It's good burst, it's good pressure. It can put Pip under his threshold, force a healing potion.
You are not welcome.
I mean,
here.
I like their lineup here.
I think they've put themselves in a pretty good spot as far as playing to their comforts a little bit, making Zenith a little bit uncomfortable as well. But Zenith have done some of the same, in my opinion. They got the Pip. Shaolin, not necessarily super weird, but just not something we often see in general on Stone Keep either.
Can work really nice against Maeve, can work nice against all of these champions in Inara as well. The issue is going to be the Pip. Can he find success? Maeve is a little harder for him to deal with, but Inara and Khan, relatively good for him to match up against.
Well, it's time to see how it plays out. Let's go down to game number 1. Let's go down to Nick and Gore.
Well, we know Ozone has been loving that Maeve and liking it for a while. He's been feeling good about getting back into the DPS role. And overall, I would say slightly strange lineups, but not quite as strange as what I think we saw over in Europe.
Yeah, and I think that's we're going to tweak here and there, but we're not going to go all out, right? We're not going to let them have Makoa if we're Sour Team and see how this one goes for us. We're going to, you know what, Nation of Power, we're going to pick up Maeve, see how this goes for us, and see if it can outmatch, keep pace, do what it does here on Stone Keep, even though we've mainly been seeing her on Frozen Guard and on Serpent Beach.
Maeve has definitely been on the up and up in the minor league, and like I said, especially against guys like Ozone. He's there today. Doesn't look like he's playing today.
No,
Playtech stepping in. Little roster shake up here down the stretch, but that's part of what the back half of the phase is used for, right? If you're out of mathematical contention for a spot at LAN, then it's time to look towards the next phase, whether that be roster changes, role swaps, maybe draft adjustments, all types of stuff you expect to see here in the last couple of weeks.
Well, Evan gets his wish. It is Cat Burglar. 30% more damage on those shots. Essentially, what you're going to be looking at is those daggers. Normally, it's 400, 400 for both, so a total of 800. And when you come out of your Prowl, you will be seeing it as a total, I believe, of 1040. Hitting for 580 right there, being able to find a little more damage. So it depends, I guess, on how much damage you're taking overall. But you can lock down an Atlas a lot more than if you were trying to go for an Execute.
Great second chance there. Nini finds first blood. It will be Stigma that falls, but Nation of Power have already grabbed themselves 75% on the objective. That's a lot of bonus damage here. 9 lives popped by Poison. Cat Burglar procced yet again, hitting a lot of these bonus damage daggers. Pounce may have been enough to clean up that barrack, but Poison is playing it relatively safe, and that's kind of the name of the game with Cat Burglar.
And the way they're approaching this, I mean, Nation of Power do exactly what they need. They actually don't, as far as I can recall, don't get any crazy kills, don't get any crazy team fight wins, but they get 87% on the point. They lose 2 members throughout all of that, too. So they just control the objective. Zenith now in the position to move forward, move in, potentially shake up the game a little more, being able to match so far 72% of that 87. And they're pushing it harder. Poison gets caught out right there.
Well, Playtech definitely has a very good overview of the situation, I think. Sniffs out the flank before it really becomes a problem, pokes out Leon, puts an arrow into Inara, makes sure he shot left, he shot center, and he shot from the right. So very great awareness here by this DPS player. Heat hazes pop 90% to 87 on the objective. Playtech, again, target prioritization here. That's the name of his game. So far, so good. Been pretty impressed with this Shaolin.
Finally going to get taken down there by Poison, who can go back in, but you don't have a support right now. He took care of your Jinna, so you're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. You have your own damage amp in your talent, but is it going to be enough? Toa up on the top, throwing down pit potions, and doing a lot of damage with 7 health right now for Poison, and he's going to be showing his face one more time.
And HP is a resource, baby. Sometimes you have to lay it all on the line without much left to give. But with 7 HP, Poison hits his Cat Burglar, or is proud to activate the Cat Burglar, and says, this is worth it. I can get this kill here, and he does. Critical moments for Poison down the stretch. Overall, I think he played very nicely.
Critical players for critical moments. That's what Nation of Power has. I mean, Poison and Stigma alone, just those two, have been able to prove themselves under pressure. But Tay and Jay also being able to bring a lot to this frontline equation. Again, a very similar feel, I would say, to some of the Premier League teams we have, where it's just they have a powerhouse. They are very comfortable with themselves and very comfortable with each other as teammates, to the point where saying Poison's going to have this Mave, and maybe it doesn't go exactly as they planned first, you know overall at the end of this game, Poison is going to match your expectations.
Well, 140 on the clock. Now Toa will find a defensive kill there onto Poison. Setback hits Tay, and he's brought into harm's way. Playtech will be credited with that kill, taking him down 2-0. It's all good, though. Team Zenith taking a little breather here in Nation of Power. Get that chance to go back and solidify the credit lead.
A couple of good shots. That wall going to end up saving Alice and saving his team from some damage. And the way Shaolin, like Playtech right now, is playing these angles is very impressive. That time, I think he jumps down maybe sooner than he wanted to, or gets brought down sooner than he would have liked to. And either way, he kind of finds himself in the middle of Nation of Power, but when he's playing from the back line, I mean, these shots have been very solid.
Overpower comes off from the low ground, grabs this barrack as he looks to retreat. That's 2 kills now, opening up the door for conversion. This is looking pretty scary if you're a Team Zenith fan. Mage Monkey falls as well. Playtech's doing his best here. Blind shot from the presence won't connect. Stigma just holding it down as the payload starts to roll in. Barrack has respawn. They will get their touch, but they lose Playtech immediately. Toa goes down. Jossos manages to find T-Max, so no healing for the offense.
And now they're looking to find some shots. Mage Monkey stunned out and shot down. And it looks like Jossos is going to be pretty much the only one to stay alive throughout that entire engagement. That was, I want to say, the classic, okay, we're going to group up and rush back, fight this as 5. But the minute they landed, well, one of them didn't land. The Void Grip comes through, which sets up yourself for a kill. Toa jumps back up onto the balcony, but it's just enough tracking coming down from this Leon to just keep them under wraps. So between, again, Poison and Stigma, a lot of clutch moments where, well, they do what we always say. They hit their shots.
Hit their shots, kid. That was a really big moment there. That's when we sort of highlighted around Poison. I've only got 7 HP. I'm double jumping because I don't want this pip splash damage to take me out. Close call there, but he elects to go for the daggers, and it pays off. Risk versus reward. We just got to watch Poison reap a reward. Time and space will rip 2 off the board immediately, opening this fight up. I don't think anything else is going to be necessary at this point. Nice juke there. Dread Serpent comes out. Does manage to turn one of the kills back in favor of Team Zenith. Fast cap's enabled, but 54% lead has already been gained.
Yeah, you can get that kill. You can't take back that lead. And the question is, can you take back the ground? So far, you've gotten a couple. You got rid of Stigma. You got rid of Jay, which is going to be able to let you come back in, retake a little bit of this. And you can see Nation of Power completely vacate the point. They just run away from it. They do not want to put anyone on there. And again, it's very similar to the first round. 72%, 35%. They have time to play with. There's no need to always sit there.
They take the money and run. I think it's, you know, everything comes with a cost. Risk reward, we just talked about it, but they say we're already 72% ahead. Let's get a clean disengage here, come back in, and maybe lock this one down, but they lose the first blood in this next follow-up fight. Poison the first to fall. Inara doesn't look like she's long for this world. Stigma makes a big rotation to save Inara's life. We'll see what type of butterfly effect that might have on the rest of this
Well, the
fight.
shots from Pip are doing a lot of damage overall, and just jumping over a shield, jumping over a wall, going to be able to pay it off. Mage Monkey Toa putting their names on the board. Mave is up in the air, but the tracking almost good enough is going to be able to escape out of that. So now Poison able to come around, but T-Mac is gone once again. You get rid of the support, you make it a lot easier for your team.
Wow, and there it is. Team Zenith, nice take back there. Nation of Power disengaged cleanly. but maybe they gave up too much ground. You know, there's a lot of sort of things you could talk about there. At the end of the day, Poison goes down very early in that take-back fight. And Nation of Power never able to quite get their feet under them. He does not get a lot of value there overall. Dies first, dies again in total. Toa takes him down 2 times in that engagement for the mid-fight.
Still with an evil mojo, too. I mean, that's pretty much everything you would want, right? Hey, I got all of that value without having to use probably my most valuable asset, probably my most game-changing asset. Fortunately there, he gets chased down, but this is the rest and relax period right now for Zenith, I would say. Is go back, spin credits, regroup, figure out your plan of attack, and then just hope that you can crack through this wall that Nation of Power is building right now, because they have moved up very heavily.
Ooh, I like the idea there. Using the time and space to perhaps peel on the follow-up for that evil mojo. It's a good thought, doesn't connect there. Risk versus reward, it's a conversation I think that defines this game so far. Doesn't pay off that time, but it would have been sick if it did.
And admittedly, trading that 1-for-1 support ult for, well, I guess technical support ult, it's way more worthwhile to throw out a through time and space than it is to throw out an evil mojo. Evil mojo will charge faster because Pip's going to do more damage, but in terms of game-changing play, that through time and space is not going to come through until the beginning of the next round. You have no reason to hold on to it the entire time, so I like the shot.
Definitely do. Poison's been dying a decent amount here. I think he played so safe, so efficiently in the first round. It's strange to see that kind of flip-flop here. He's trying to get more flanky, I guess you could say, at this juncture. Gets 2 kills there, but 7 deaths. Almost more than twice of anyone on his team. Stigma just picking up his 4th. Has to maybe slow down, and part of the strength of Cat Burglar is you don't have any distance fall-off. You know, you pop these bonus damage daggers from wherever you damn well please.
I think the hardest thing to deal with is kind of the arc. You can see right there. It's just a little awkward. Like, they almost fly true, but they don't quite land where you think they're going to hit. And you kind of have to play around it. As you can see, long-range shots, not too big of an issue for Maeve. Unfortunately for Zenith, it seems like they've done enough, though, on the side of Nation of Power. They have the control. Maeve is now behind them. Whether they're going to pay attention to her or not doesn't mean that she's not going to be there to have that impact.
And critical shots here, missed by Playtech. This is again, does that come back to haunt them? Tracking down this Genos. And whether or not he gets the kill is no longer the conversation at this point. He spent so much time tracking this support down, ends up dying for it. Awkward exchanges, but that's just what one shot can do. It can really make or break the difference, the type of butterfly effect one little thing can have on an entire team fight. Nation of Power will hold there. I don't think that surprises anyone. They go up 3-1. Not a lot of progress made on that offense by Zenith.
But they maintain a lot of ults. They charge back what they need to. Heat Haze was popped, I believe, like right at the end. Not at the end of the round, but like at the end, I guess, of the point capture into the payload. Like, it was in that area where it could come through. That was the one. Tags 3, kills 2.
Nice replay.
And that, admittedly, is what you could be watching again this round. The one thing about through time and space that is incredibly strong is the fact that most of the time, people are fighting for that high ground, and there's one smooth path up there, and you can predict it all day.
That was a little free cam action on that replay. And I know some people that have been thirsty for some more free cam action in general, so maybe a taste of what's to come. I don't know. Who can say for sure? I know I'd be a fan of seeing some of that. I don't know how tough it is to set up and do, but definitely a cool angle there on the time and space. 3-1 is the scoreline. 50% lead. Not an ultimate pop. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse here. Finally, some action. Playtech finds the opening kill on the J.
There's going to be an evil mojo. A couple of shots coming down. Tay goes down. Jay goes down. So both front lines are out of commission right now for Nation of Power.
I thought chickens couldn't fly.
You have a fast cap enabled, and I think that might be all she wrote.
Looks like it. 90% climbing. Inara's trying to get here on the horse. Exile is active and available, but Inara has already made her way back to the objective thanks to Midnight shutting down the vision. Ooh, second chance, just barely enough to get Atlas out of that situation. Tay finds Toa. Playtech goes down 2 for nothing so far in this take-back fight. Nation of Power, if they win this fight, they will likely win this game.
I mean, it looks really good for Zenith until that engagement and until Inara comes back. 99%
Shout out to Midnight.
And that's where they're going to get stopped.
Time and Space almost takes down Toa there. 99 to 99 and a victory there. Nation of Power sitting on ultimates as well. They had gas in the tank and resources to burn if they really had to, but it didn't even come to that.
I mean, they got pushed out heavily from that objective. Like, they lose their front lines immediately. Everybody has to fall back. Yeah. And if you're Zenith there, like, you're sitting comfortable. Maybe you're not prepared for the Midnight into an Inara being back on the objective, into the team just collapsing in on you.
I like that. It's one of the cooler uses of Midnight is to cover the approach or cover the retreat, something like that. Very cool ultimate. We don't get to see much of Maeve, so good to see her find some success. Let's get it back to the desk and hear their thoughts on Game 1.
Well, it was Midnight sets over Game 1. Yeah. A clean win here for Nation of Power. It looked like Zenith were going to have a little bit of fight back there. The Maeve did have a big impact, but I think really Tay on the con this game really drove things in their favor.
I think in the generality, of the game, you have to obviously look at those aggressive front lines being the big game changers and the big pace setters. But in the little moments, I have to say Poison and this Maeve were the reason that, at least the way it turned out today, won this game. The first point, 99 to 99.
Yeah,
Toa's still alive. Poison survives with 7 health to his name. He pops around a corner, waits,
this may be the...
and then finds 2 daggers to finish off Toa. Right here, I believe, actually.
Yeah, 7
this
health.
Man has 7 health to his name. 99 to 90. If Toa stays alive, he's fine. He takes the risk, goes out, 1,040, kills Toa when he's least suspecting it. And then in the end of this game, the Midnight, Dave. That was what helped it. 97%. Inara on her horse. I'm sorry, there's no skill in riding, on your horse to get to the point. I love the route. Perfect.
Yep.
But the Midnight, the Maeve, there's really no skill in that too because it's a global, but the champion itself allows that to happen. They see Inara, they're just going to dismount her, that's it. They need half a second more in that game, or that point is theirs.
I mean, obviously it worked out in their favor. 4-1 on Stone Keep.
Great stuff.
I mean, is that if we try to take off the rose-colored glasses from game number 1, how did you feel in general about the Maeve on Stone Keep? Not something we see very often.
No.
But obviously in this case it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, I like Cat Burglar better too.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally am a Cat Burglar fan. I think it's more fun. I think it's actually more effective when utilizing the burst in the right way.
Yeah.
But because I think Maeve doesn't necessarily, at this point with the damage reduction nerf, excel in the close to mid-range where she would have to be to use that pounce. And I think there's too many ways to damage immune with meta champions, to rewind with meta champions, to burst heal with meta champions, that you can almost get baited yourself into thinking somebody's at that threshold. And oops, they pop back up for a variety of reasons. So I like Maeve, and I like the way that it's being played by Poison.
Sure. I think she looked great last game. Big reason they won that one, definitely, for sure. Regressing back to a little bit of the damage dealer bans. Leon and Cassie both off the table here. Of course, that opens up Atlas, but then Amani Khan here for Zenith. That's a strong first 2.
I mean, Amani and Khan together, usually the Atlas Amani pairing is what we're seeing. But yeah, those two, pretty deadly. I mean, we saw that lineup-wise, there was some back and forth for sure. And I think the Pip was a strong selection for Toa. I want to see him get on a strong champion again. Usually what he'll do is he will shift onto another version of a blaster, whether it's the BK, whether it's the Drogoz. Right now, you're probably looking at BK being a little bit more successful here, but I could see a rerun of the Pip now with the, the potentiality to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the Pip, again, sort of, I mean, it wasn't the reason they lost by any means. It was just sort of there. I mean, it didn't do great, didn't do horrible. But the Shaolin this time transferring teams. He's going to go over to Nation of Power, and they're going to get the Maeve again.
Yeah.
On Warder's Gate, Shaolin, Maeve, Barrack, Genos, Atlas. How you feeling about it?
Maeve's like a risk, but once you take the risk and you feel good about it, and you go back again, you're like, oh, wow, this is a great payoff. Especially on this map. It's really hard to track people down, so that becomes even more valuable. As we thought, switching over to the Bomb King, I think the Pip still would have been fine. It would have actually added a pretty decent dynamic because you have 3 places of healing there and a lot of champions that could survive. But the BK is great too. Great zone control.
I think he'll probably pay off in some sort of way here on Warder's Gate. Well, they have some questions to answer, do Zenith. Are they going to pull this one back, or is it going to be another clean sweep? Nation of Power could make it 2-0 with the win here. To find out how it plays out, let's go down to the casters.
Thank you, gentlemen. we hip on into Warder's Gate here. Second time we're getting to see this map today. Not a very common pick despite being out there in the wild for a minute now. Nobody's really taken to Warder's Gate, so this is our map. This is our pocket pick. This is our ace in the hole. This is where we're going to go either first or when things get dire.
I've gone from not seeing this map for weeks to, and mainly because it got banned out a lot, to seeing it twice today. Maybe, no, just the twice that it's come through, but both times potentially going to be very dominant depending on how it goes. I like the way Zenith have been able to draft. I feel like everybody there is going to be comfortable. But, I mean, when it comes down to what you have on the side of Nation of Power, specifically Poison, already comfortable on the Maeve coming back through. No clue how she's going to work on this map, if it's going to be successful or not. But they bring in the Shaolin, they have the point control, they have the Atlas. I think they have what they want.
Yeah, and Shaolin starting to play a little bit of a role in this set. I can't say I've ever seen Shaolin coming. I don't think he's super staple for anyone, but Playtech played it last game. I believe he went for went for recurve there.
Yeah.
This time around, it's going to be explosive arrows for Stigma. What are your pros and cons on those two talents?
Honestly, it comes down to how many walls do you have? Because the number of walls you can find an angle on, I feel like, makes recurve better. Because recurve, you're just going to fire faster, but you maintain your ability to stun. Once you go explosive arrow, you're getting that, but there's no stun. You have the knockback, you have the damage, but you don't have the ability to lock someone down for a planted combo. And so trade-offs, it really does come down to, I think, map and map. Otherwise, they'd probably be even in my mind, just as a whatever you prefer and how many stuns you think you can actually connect with.
Well, first blood will go to Toa. Khan starting to push down this barrack. No cooldowns really available for Jay. He's got to play this one carefully. One more shot on a Mage Monkey. Might have done it. He gets around the corner here. Gets back to his support. Toa boxing out. I believe that's Maeve over there in the corner. Cute little 1v1 there, but Playtech will come in and referee that fight, so to speak. Manages to get the killing blow. Toa falling lower and lower. Everyone falling lower and lower. Finally a return kill. 2 in that fact. Stigma with another one there. He manages to pick up 3 before going down in this fight. Critical play there. Went pretty much all in, but definitely got what he came for.
And I will say big on Playtech that we flip back and he's in fire stance, but it's just not something that I think comes through very often. And I think another thing you don't see very often is someone in the face of danger, the face of death there that Stigma was facing. And he just kind of shrugged it off, was like, I'm going to go for the planet. I know I can kill you. He ends up dying almost immediately after, but trading out 1 for 2, absolutely worth it.
Big shots here from Stigma. This, right now, is probably my rookie of the year for minor league. I think this guy has been incredible. Played a lot of stuff. Changed the way he's had to play here. Goes big. In clutch moments against good teams and bad of the like, Stigma has made a resounding impact on the minor league.
It's not often that there's like a name we don't know that comes in and gets set, I think, as much as Stigma's has. Like, I feel like that's the thing is, like, we will not know people, especially if you're watching the console league. Sometimes those guys just goof around and switch wherever they want. But then you come in and it's like, I've never seen this guy in ranked. I don't know what his name is. Like, I've never heard of him. And it's not a name change. It's not someone we used to know who just happened to be able to switch that up. It's a fresh face who leaves that first day that you see him play, leaves with you remembering his name.
Yeah, it's awesome to see for sure. Sometimes you have those name changes so veterans can kind of fly under the radar, a la Valentine, Ninim, that type of situation here. And even if you're looking at Alex Zombie 10 and Toa, you know, that's a guy to play with all the time on stream and in our games and stuff like that. And look at him now. It's definitely been cool to watch some guys that you know kind of have that little chance, that spotlight performance, and find themselves onto a minor league team. As Nation of Power complete the offense here for a 2-0 lead over Team Zenith.
This is just good old-fashioned Warder's Gate. And so far, I will say Maeve, successful. Stigma, a little more successful overall. 3-1-4, 3-0-6, 3-1-5. And then you've got the undying T-Mac at 0010. But 6-2-3 for Stigma, I think, is the biggest one. Over a 3.0 KDA as of right now. And that's just going to get better as long as he keeps up this performance. Only a few like smatterings of kills on the side of Zenith. And most of those came very early on, very big in the initial fight. But the take back from Nation of Power was too strong for him. And I think now, coming into it, 4 bulldozers online. Amani doesn't even have the dragon charged up yet. We might not actually need those until, well, 30, 40 seconds from now.
Yeah. That's what type of round it was there in the first go around. Poison taking the scenic route here, looking for a big flank. Looks like he's been spotted out, called out. As you can see, the Maldamba stun starting to fly back his direction. I like that call there to just rotate out before things get too sticky. 2-0 lead for Nation of Power with a 27% lead on the objective. King Bomb rolling through. Stasis Field goes up, deters it a little bit. Sniffs out where this Shaolin is, but Toa can't track it down and finish the job.
Very dangerous corner to be bouncing back to.
I know,
Toa,
right? Oh
but
my
he does
God.
it like it's nothing. Just hovers around. Unfortunately, does still end up meeting his doom, as does the rest of Zenith. One more target left. And that Amani looks like she's just trying to get on out of here. Shaolin looking to hunt her down. Will find the shot in conjunction with Poison and Jay. And I mean, that was, I said this during the last set, but it was just systematic. It was just, you know what? We have an order of things that are going to happen here, and we're going to make sure we hit all the checkboxes.
4-0, 4-1, 7-2, 5-1. Pretty nasty stuff coming out here on Warder's Gate. Nation of Power taking it to Team Zenith, and this definitely feels like it's their map pick. Usually in the first 2 games, you see it going either a split decision or a tough one way and then convincingly the other. And Warder's Gate is a new enough map to where if you don't have a ton of reps in the gym, so to speak, on it, you could find yourself getting rolled. And I like this map because it feels like it's just very team. It's not a very passive map. Like you get in there,
it's just all action.
And you frag out.
Yeah, and honestly, I think we've seen teams that normally when it comes down to playing around the objective where maybe you don't even need to fight that often, like I'm thinking of Kanga. They are very, very good at this map specifically. So being able to bring this in and ideally have it not banned against you does open a little bit of doors for you to find more success. Or if you're already a team that's been successful, means you can do it a little faster.
Well, Jay and Stigma open things up 2 for 1 so far in favor of the offense. Exile's ready to go. AoE setback. Doesn't hit anyone there, but Stigma still tracks down the kill onto the support. Payload's starting to roll in. Frostbomb goes out, but it won't find a home. Exile is ready to go. Midnight is ready to go. Dome Shield is about ready to go. Time and Space is ready to go. Jay's getting dunked into spawn, though. Nothing to do about that. That's a 15 streak come to a bitter end.
Now the control, though, is going to shift over. Toa does go down, but they get rid of not only Jay, but Stigma on top of that. So there should be a little bit of a pause unless they leave someone back. The Dragon comes flying out. And, well, it's just going to hang out. It's looking around. Nice scenic Dragon as opposed to, you know, the quadra kill Dragon we got earlier today.
It's unfortunate because the Dragon coulda, woulda, shoulda been very useful for this defense. But just way too early on the trigger there. There's really no way around it. That was just misplayed. Maybe a misclick even, I would go so far as to say. 23 seconds on the clock. Exile popped and immediately canceled, so Tay maybe gives one back. AoE setback, clips the edge, won't find a home now. 15 seconds on the clock. Tay very deep. Maybe realizing that second chance is his way on out of that fight. For now, Void Grip up, Dome Shield down. Nini is dead. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another setback will miss. 15 streak for Tay. He wants to put this game away.
And a nice little wall to keep him safe while they keep pushing that payload forward. Kills are coming out. Void Grip is good. And they do exactly as you said. Nation of Power go through in the horse head.
That skin's so
up
sick.
On top.
It's almost not fair that freaking Atlas has been out for like 2 seconds. He gets a 6 skin. Eevee, 2-year-old skin is most, I think it's the Christmas skin, is like 2 years old at this point. The next Eevee skin that comes out, if it is some basic, like summer, I'm wearing a swimsuit or I have anime ears or something.
I can already tell you that the Reddit loves this idea.
I'm gonna tilt
and they're behind you
to
on
Jupiter. I'm gonna tilt off the face of the planet. I want a sick Eevee skin. I want a real big banger for Eevee next time it comes in. Atlas has been out for 2 seconds and he already looks more swag. Let's get it back to the desk before I get more heated.
Nick is he's the Eevee truther.
Yeah,
he's the
he
Eevee
seriously
truther,
is.
and really disappointed that the skins. I mean, the next skin will be like a green coloration or something like that onto Eevee probably, and he'll just.
If she gets that.
If she gets that. Right, well,
you know, Nick, you have to realize that Eevee's gotten a lot you know, skins over the course of time.
How many does she have?
She's got way more than Atlas, let's put it that way.
Right.
She's got Halloween. She's got Christmas. You know,
he's asking for a lot, I think.
But I really think that he needs to be, like, say this at the end of the year. We're talking about how hindsight changes this conversation. Yeah. He's saying this now, but what if Eevee gets an October skin, she gets a December skin, and she gets, like, a mid-year skin? I mean, come on. Come on, man.
I know. I mean,
think about it, Nick.
I mean, that's just because he really likes Eevee. I mean, there's a little bias, I think, in his argument in this case. To be fair, it is a really awesome skin on the Atlas.
It is.
Slash line's looking good, though, in favor of Nation of Power. Stigma came to play here in this one as well. 62k damage, 3.4 KDA. Team Zenith didn't really stand quite a chance today against the Shaolin on the side of Nation of Power. Now they're one game away, Evan, from sealing the deal here for the PML on Tuesday.
So much.
What does Zenith need to do to try to pull something back here?
Just go back, to the drawing board, get some more prep in. Maybe it's a roster swap. I mean, you have to look at that if you're wanting to compete with Nation of Power. Otherwise, you're just, realizing that season's coming to an end. Maybe you're not giving it your all. And Nation of Power getting ready for LAN. I mean, that's really what is the case here. Yeah. So, I don't blame Zenith at all for what's happening with them. They're playing the best that they can.
Absolutely.
Mortars gets a newer map too. So this is less about Zenith and more about maybe the prep. Maybe getting caught off guard. The 4-1 for Stone Keep could have easily been a 3-3 essentially that turned into a 4-3. So, I'm happy with how they performed.
No, and I think we're getting to the point now in the minor league, sort of where we've been with the console league as well, where the top two teams are that they're preparing for, practicing for, and looking forward to LAN. I mean, the 1s and 2s can shift, of course, because the top two teams from each region will go through. So that's still there to compete for.
But the 3s ain't becoming 2s.
Right. That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah. And I think that's the way Nation of Power are playing. I mean, they deserve to go. They're one of the best teams in this region, and they're playing as such. I think Zenith need to look forward more to next split and try to figure out, a way to bounce back and get things organized and get things ready when the slate is clean.
It also is just a great awareness piece of everything in life when you get a really strong start.
In this game, you win
get a really
or you
strong
die.
start.
There is
your momentum can carry you to the point where you can make some mistakes and still be good and be able to turn it back up when it really matters.
If you're standing on the point, you're in Inara, you're chilling on the point, you get up to 90%, sure your team gets wiped, then you come back and stand on it for 10 more %. I mean,
come on, man.
The momentum's in your favor at that point.
You have wiggle room to mess up. Let's put it that way.
That's right. That's a good way of looking at it.
That's what Nation of Power have afforded themselves, and they've made lineup switches to get even more wiggle room.
Yeah.
And it's showing up. I mean, why bring Poison and Stigma
if
they're not going to do this?
Here.
Right.
If you're going to have trouble with Zenith at this point, and no offense to Zenith, but you're going to make these roster swaps, this is what you need. Nation of Power in many ways have to have this performance. Otherwise, it's like, guys, I'm not feeling great going into
I agree.
Na'Vi.
Right. And that's where their eyes are. They're
NOP needs to beat Zenith to have a chance against NIP. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Nip.
Otherwise, it'll be
nobody is.
Otherwise, NOP will have nope.
There's going to be an E on the top. There's going to be an E.
It'll turn into nope instead of no.
We'll have to see how that plays out. They go back to the Mave. Lineup's locked in here. How you feeling?
How do you think, Dave?
I think you're feeling good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I feel good about,
that was the question.
I feel good about NOP.
You
know what? Honestly, feeling pretty good. Like I feel like I did some cardio yesterday, and
I'm glad you're feeling good.
Or anaerobically strong. I'll put it that way.
Well, that's good. We know how Evan's feeling. We know how Nation of Power are feeling. Let's see if they can make it the clean sweep. Let's go down to your casters.
Thanks,
Doesn't
gentlemen.
even care how we're feeling.
Glad you're feeling good.
Didn't even ask us.
I'm still cooling down from my rant earlier.
Oh,
All right.
I guess actually, based on that, people know how you feel.
I'm going to keep a lid on it. You know how I feel at this juncture in time. Pretty good lineups, I think, for either side here. I will say I do like the front line for Zenith better than Nation of Power. Barrack Atlas, I don't feel like is going to be able to control space as well as Khan and Inara in terms of just, I'm walking here, what you going to do about it?
Definitely
I'm walking here!
In their favor. But I'm just wondering if they're going to be able to play it at the level they need to, right? That's the big thing. You've got Poison and Stigma on champions that they are now comfortable on. They played them either a few games in a row or one game in a row. So coming in combo ready, coming in, I guess,
combo ready
for anything you could go through. I'm wondering if it's going to be Explosive Arrow again or Recurve, and it looks like Explosive Arrows for now for Stigma. This is one of those maps that it could be either or, right? You can find just as many stuns as you can find Explosive Arrows. I think Explosive Arrow probably comes out on top. I'd say like 7 times out of 10. Like, there's a few moments where maybe you want those stuns more often.
Here's the thing. With Luminary, scaling with explosive arrow, you hit for like 1450.
Yeah.
And there comes a point where you just have so much burst damage off of your explosive arrow into your first shot of planted. Do you need the stun? You're two-shotting people at that point. You don't really need the setup if they die before, you know, a stun would have been there or not.
Yeah, honestly, that honestly could just be all of it for every map. If you have a Genos, do you need anything else? You are going to need this explosive arrow because damage is good. And so far, it looks out
Genos
pretty
shot,
well. That's
man.
going to be a really, really nice combo. That planted almost cleans up. And maybe you put a delay on it, but Stigma's still finding some kills.
Gore, I noticed the planted shots also getting damage.
Yeah, it was,
there
what,
as well.
920?
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
It's one of the kind of fun facts about Shaolin is planted is an ability, but it's one of those Leon-esque abilities where the planted shots are still treated as basic weapon shots. So they scale with Wrecker, they apply Cauterize, Luminary is going to boost the damage of them as well. Pretty neato bandito stuff.
I agree. And exactly that phrase. It's Nito Bandito.
Good.
Because
Glad we can agree on that.
920 instead of 800.
I was really looking forward to your case as to why it's not Nito Bandito. But, you know, some things are just known.
Yeah, and that's one of them, to be Nito Bandito. Maybe even...
Coconut Torpedo.
Sure. I'm glad you had something for it because I was about to hit a brick wall. I was going into it at 90 miles an hour, and you just came out and you were just like, Kool-Aid Man, bust it down. I could just go right on through.
Come on through.
Kept me safe.
Couple more kills coming through on the offense here. 1:30 left on the clock. Poison's not going to need it. Oh, the Maeve has been deadly today. Cat Boigla. Yes, please. Poison really getting a rhythm with this pick. He's going to find yet another kill, and he might not be done yet. Saved by the bell. Team Zenith on the ropes here in the first round of Serpent Beach. They cannot catch a breath, get their feet under them. Nothing.
Well, hey, we're 3 minutes into the game. That was
Nothing.
fast.
Yeah, that's
as
how long
far
it took
as
to get the first payload capture.
these rounds go. So impressive, undying round for Nation of Power. 7-0-3 here for Poison. T-Mac rocking the James Bond at 007. And it's just, I mean, no one on the side of Zenith can keep up on Playtech. Even if he's trying to get aggressive, Stigma with a Luminary boost, like you had said earlier, is going to two-tap you. Whether it be Explosive Arrow shot or if it's Explosive Arrow planted shots, like no matter what, you're going to be taking a little more. And then the way he played it, like Stigma, there was a point where he throws out a planted, and it's like the person he was trying to shoot jumps down off the balcony. It was the Inara. And he just immediately switched his aim over to literally anybody else. Like the damage is just too much to handle from Nation of Power.
Well, they're running it down here. AoE setback. That's got to be the most powerful use of Deja Vu I think I've ever seen. Clearly, Team Zenith is trying to run it down mid as hard and as fast as possible, but Tay puts a big old brick wall in front of it. They don't have a Kool-Aid Man to bail them out this time, Gore. They run into it and get obliterated at the full force of 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, that is about like if you ever watch crash test dummy videos, that is what the crash test dummy looks like afterward. It's just mangled, broken apart.
Yeah.
And, well, here's the advice of the day. If you are driving, and maybe around 90, first off.
Don't run into walls.
Depending on where you're going, maybe slow down a little bit. You shouldn't be. If it's a 45, just saying, don't be going 90. But, yeah, don't run into walls. That's a general rule of thumb with your car. Don't run into walls, but especially if you're going really fast.
Double kill for Toa here. High movement speed King Bomb to the back line. Good for one. Follow-up kill from the bombs. The auto attack's good for Stigma. Jay's on the run here. Nowhere really to go. Fast cap enabled, so Zenith come roaring back into this one. After getting curb stomped in round number 1, it looks like it might still just be it'll capture Poison trying to touch with the Inara wall. Not quite good enough to keep her all the way out. Poison is on the run, though, and he's got to be about out of cooldowns at this point.
I mean, this is exactly what you want out of a Maeve. Tay is going to come in and do whatever he can to try and hold on to it. Does tap, get the overtime, but it doesn't last long enough. And that was not only curb stomped, as you said, for round 1. I'd say curb stomped at the beginning of this round. I mean, that was just, it was decimation. But they come back, they keep themselves calm, and they get 3 kills right off of the bat. Unfortunately, seems like this defense is starting the same way the round did, with a couple of kills.
Comeback mechanic is so damn strong in Paladins.
Poison still hasn't died.
Time to go on a random tangent. I saw this video once.
Bring in the dancing
lobsters. Not entirely random, but in terms of like crash test things, there was this video, I think it was on like the strength that nuclear reactors are required to be built at. So like you can't fly planes into them. And they put this like fighter jet on rails to like basically drag race it into a wall of concrete that they make nuclear reactors out of. And they hit it so hard, but this wall is so strong that the jet just like, it just turns into dust. Damn. It just poofs. And I was just like, it was like one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Hopefully I'll be able to find a link and maybe tweet it out later today, because it's kind of random if you don't get to see it. You don't get to feel how cool it was if you don't see the video, but it just blew me away, I'm telling you. It just poofed into nothingness, and I was like, damn, that's a strong wall.
Yeah, that's a strong wall. That's the only thing I can think about. Like, having a jet go fast enough to essentially just poof when it hits.
And when I say poof,
and the wall is just like, sup, dude?
It hits the wall, and obviously it starts to crumble, and dust starts to go everywhere, and like the cloud of dust just gets bigger and bigger, and then the jet is just nowhere.
It's just gone.
There's no more jet. Chat.
The jet is gone. I want to see. I hope that they keep that, like, the catapult. So, like, when there's not a wall there, they can just, like, throw jets into the air to get them started a little faster. Probably, like, liquefy the guy sitting inside of it.
That's actually, like, that's tech. They need that for aircraft carriers to help the planes take off fast enough to get enough speed to actually take off the ship. That's like a thing, because I saw another video that was that, and they basically were testing that, and they launched like some old pickup truck off of an aircraft carrier. Yeah, it's really fun. Cool stuff on the internet, guys. But
if you can fall into the YouTube trap where it's just suggested videos, and you're like, oh, that does sound really cool.
The algorithm designed to trap you
for eternity
based on your search preferences. Back to the round here. Nothing much has happened, as you can see. Payload has not really passed go here. Team Zenith are not collecting $200. They're going to start their offense in overtime here. They got a long way to go, and they step off this payload. It's going to be done and dusted for them. The front line is going to do their best to keep this one alive. But remember, that defensive point is up and available for grabs. If Nation of Power can hold here, they'll go up 3-1.
Well, 3/4 of the way to go. You said it's going to be a long distance, and it's going to be a long time. If you leave the payload, the longer you're on it in overtime, the faster that timer is going to tick down. You should see it relatively soon, and there's a good example. They were prepared for it. You saw Playtech dash in, and in the time he started his dash to when he actually hit the payload, the timer had already disappeared. That is something important to keep note of. But because it was just such a dominant round, Nation of Power had Zenith locked in their base pretty much the entirety of it until the very end there in overtime. All 10 ults are going to be available, so this one's going to come down to some of the classic, am I going to hit my shot as a Genos? Is Midnight going to make a big play? Or is King Bomb going to shift the dynamic, and a Dread Serpent maybe going to find a kill? A lot in the air.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one will probably be Mage Monkey. Hitting an overpower can find a kill early on.
It's not something you really think about when you're putting a composition together, in my opinion. But the suite of ultimates, like, Nation of Power don't really have a strong suite of ultimates.
No.
Like Midnight, Time and Space might not hit anyone. Heat Haze is very easy not to get value for. Exile, mostly mitigated by Resilience. You can see Mage Monkey is just kind of shrugging these off. It's going to be tough. Dome Shield is definitely their best ultimate, and it's already been spent.
And that's going to be the biggest thing. Actually, using all but one. Well, there's the last one for Nation of Power as they come through. And it's going to be a dominant fight for them as they come get rid of 4, get rid of 5 of Zenith. But Zenith still have a Dread Serpent. They still have an Overpower. They still have an Enlightenment. Yes, you run a Seismic Crash and a King Bomb maybe into nothing, but you have the ability to not only retake the point, but come back in and maybe even clean sweep.
That's risky. Setback is a big cooldown, especially on the takeback here. Nara's been called out. She's coming from Sundial. And if they can rewind her away from the objective, it's a huge swing play potential. Big streaks, ultimates at the ready here. Ave is going to get feared into the wall here. It's a lot of stuff dumped in for just one kill. We'll see if it ends up being worth it. Comeback mechanic is enabled for Zenith. 1 for 1, 2 for 1 so far in favor of blue as the war rages on. Barrack takes Enlightenment on the chin. Bowling ball resets here. Fail safe indeed. 12 streak. And Stigma just finishes the job there. There was not enough, King's men left to kind of contest that one. Humpty Dumpty falls, cracks, and it will be a 4-1 victory here on Serpent Beach.
And they were just throwing whatever they could at it. I like the way they approach it, but at the same time, it kind of feels disjointed as a whole. Like the fight seems like, okay, this is how we want to approach it. And then one person had a change of plan because of the engagement, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess I need to go over here. I need to do this. It didn't feel like, especially with the ults they had available, Zenith gave that, I think, as full thought they could have.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough comeback mechanic. It's a fight against a very, very good initial team fight as well. Let's get it back to the desk and round up our minor league day.
Thank you, guys. The minor league day is coming to a close. 4 great sets, 3 3-0s, 1 3-1. I think that's about what we expected coming from today.
The minor league day ends in a major league way.
All right, see ya.
All right, see ya.
That was great. That was great. No,
Thanks.
Nation of Power. They did look good. They grabbed the 3-0. I mean, if we're, again, splitting hairs, as I like to do,
We're
they get
splitting ice.
Splitting ice.
But
I don't like to do that because I'm not good
That's
at
Amani's
Amani.
thing.
Somehow I found a way to be bad at Amani. Poison, though, oh my. 23 and 14 on the Mave. I mean, I asked you how you felt about it game 1.
Yeah.
He gets a game 2 as well, and game 3.
I gave you the answer.
And I am not going to ask you again how you
Don't
feel
you
about
dare. Because you already know.
it. What are your thoughts?
You already know, Dave.
I know.
But I like Cat Burglar, as you can see the impact. I love the value Midnight's having. I love the decision-making through Poison, and this is a very midfield-esque champion selection. She could be anywhere and everywhere, and so the choice is with the player to make the right decisions. It's not really about positionally whether you can affect part of the battle. It's about what part of the battle do you really find is going to be the most valuable here, and he simply chose right nearly all the time.
Obviously a champion that they prepared in scrims, they were ready to bring out, and when you're playing as well as Nation of Power are, there's not a whole lot that doesn't work out. Here are your NA standings after our 2 matches today. Sanguine retained that top spot. Nation of Power technically picking up a little bit of ground there with the 3-0 over Zenith, excuse me. 8-1, 7-2, 2-7, 1-8.
Yeah.
So we kind of chatted about it, but as far as looking forward to LAN, it would seem that Sanguine and Nation of Power, barring an entire
Unforeseeable catastrophe.
Right. Those will be the 2 that go through. Still, I guess some questions to be answered as far as what seed they will be, depending on how some of the results go for them moving forward. But do you think those standings reflect how the teams played today? Sanguine over Nation of Power?
I think the standings are extremely reflective of the quality of these 2 teams. So it's about a 9-map difference, maybe a 3-map swing if they play each other again and Nation of Power have a good day. But they're right there, and it's going to be about the depth of this roster, and by depth, obviously not players, I mean decision-making, drafting, and of course champion pool.
Well, Nation of Power showed a bit of a propensity. I can say that stuff very well. Bit of a propensity to draft some interesting choices here. Sanguine 3-0, Nation of Power 3-0. Sour Team are only 3-1 of the day, so I stand corrected. No movement on the North American side as far as map differential. The movement was over in Europe. Sour Team, I guess, losing
huge shift.
A massive shift,
Massive
a tectonic
shift in Europe.
in the way things are going in Europe. No, but Penta played well, Sour Team played well. Nick called it the sweep week. Very close to being correct on that one.
Almost.
But all of our number 1 and number 2 seeds playing really well this week. Eyes firmly on LAN for most of them. And it's going to be exciting to see kind of how the games go when they rematch up here in the future. But that is going to be it for our minor league day. We had 4 matches, 4 great matches. 3-0, 3-1, 3-0, 3-0 is the way it goes. We have Esports Weekly tomorrow for you at 1 p.m. Make sure to tune in for that. We'll see you next time.
The Paladins Minor League, brought to you by Skillshot, Hi-Rez, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries, and Respawn.
Bye.